allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a very popular meeting this morning, as we can all tell. We have the option of setting a 10:30 time for the discussion of the golf and food and beverage topic, which we can move across to the community center at 10:30. We can do that, or we can all crowd in here and get very warm and uncomfortable.
May I make how many folks are here to give a comment on the North Gate
No,
thing that's going in up there? It's all the, oh, good.
no, the North Gate isn't on the subject.
I'm glad to hear about it.
Get it back.
Are the majority?
Yeah.
Are the majority here to talk about the management contract outsourcing? Show of hands.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we figured. The option we're giving you right now is twofold. The buildings in use over there now are we to move this morning. The group that's over there now will finish up between 9:30 and 9:45, and that's why we're thinking we can press forward with our agenda items, but we'll hold the outsourcing brief there because it's already set up for everybody to sit. We'll adjourn for a few minutes, move over there, and it gives everybody room where they can see the presentation, and if that's okay, and that's really,
It's not a long
I just,
ride.
I'll leave it up.
well, it's a walk right there, so what's the board?
I think that makes sense.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm looking for heads out there. Is that
Yeah.
And what time will that be?
10:30. We will, if need be, we will stop our agenda here and move over there and come back to finish up if we have to,
So if that helps, yeah.
if that helps.
Aztec, the big room, right here on the corner.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to sit through the first part of the meeting for so long.
And we will have public comment at 10:30, so.
Yeah.
Okay, that's when we'll do that.
Make it a little more comfortable.
So let's, no, the board has to stay, I'm sorry.
You guys, you could. I mean, you guys could.
You guys can go till 10:30, that's fine, it's up to you.
You're not stuck here, an hour and a half. Yeah, we'll see over there. Okay.
One Tony.
Okay, let's walk through the agenda here. We have the approval of minutes, public comment, which I'm going to move to 10:30. County Commissioners report, pending action list, General Manager's report, budget rules, CPI violations review, purchase of a leaf vacuum, purchase of a dump truck, appointment to committees, presentation. Handed out to the public in advance of that. Any changes, adjustments?
Just to move.
Just to move over there? Okay. Okay, let's move to the minutes. We have the July 14th regular session. Any changes, adjustments to the minutes of the July 14th meeting? Okay. I move that be accepted.
I'll move that be accepted.
Second.
Second.
Approved. Closed meeting on July 14th. Minutes. Changes, adjustments, clarifications.
Move adoption.
Second.
Approval.
Approval. August 4th. Closed meeting. Any changes, adjustments? No? Okay. Assume they're approved. August 18th. Board meeting, organizational meeting.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Approved? Ray, you raising your hand, yes? Okay, good. Okay, you can stay there. County Commissioners report. Judy, you're here.
Yes. Thank you. I guess over here in the corner is the best place to stand. I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to give my report. The County Commissioners meeting last night lasted until after business hours, and I wasn't able to get the report to you, and I thought there might be one or two questions. So I'll begin. The rabies epidemic. The rabies epidemic continues. Last week, a dead raccoon was found behind Pizza Hut at the Ocean Pines gate. It was dead, but they subsequently tested it, and it tested rabid. So I just urge everybody to remain alert to this, and it's important also to make sure that your pets are vaccinated. The Pines Plaza Shopping Center. The county, as you may have read, is working to establish an emergency public sewer connection to Pines Plaza Shopping Center due to the failure of the shopping center's existing septic system on August 18. Temporary measures are being taken to assure that all stores and services in the shopping center will remain open. Because of the sewer system failure, the owner of the shopping center will not be permitted to restart his existing plant and either to resume disposing of wastewater in the septic drain fields on site. A temporary solution connecting Pines Plaza to Ocean Pines wastewater treatment plant via the Pennington Commons pump station was approved by the County Commissioners. The Pennington Commons pump station can adequately accommodate the additional flow from the shopping center on a short-term basis. In the meantime, the Commissioners have directed county staff to establish a small sanitary service area for Pines Plaza Shopping Center and also the surrounding business community on the west side of Route 589. That will include McDonald's and all of those businesses there. Then these businesses will be required to connect permanently to the Ocean Pines water and wastewater treatment plant. In the interim, a 6-month agreement with the possibility of a 6-month extension will provide these commercial properties will pay 150% of the rate currently being charged to Ocean Pines commercial properties. When the agreement expires, the temporary connection to Pennington Commons, the pump station there, will be closed, and the properties will be required to either tie in to a permanent connection to the Ocean Pines facility at their own expense, or they will have to cease operations. I'll continue to keep you advised about this. It's the bad news and the good news. You know, you hate to see anything fail, but it was a failing system in the process. And we're going to get rid of all those drain fields, and it will be much better for the area. The fire hydrant project. In another week, all paving on the north side will be completed. The next area to be worked on is Crest Haven Drive, which will take a while to complete because it's a 2,000 square foot run of roadway. Overall, however, the fire hydrant project is 70 to 80% complete and within budget. I want to talk about yesterday's meeting, the sprinkler systems for new single-family and two-family homes. First of all, let me say, I don't anticipate this impacting too much on Ocean Pines. We're pretty much built out, and you know, we're connected to public sewer. The main issue was the part of the county that has wells, and will they have enough to provide for the sprinklers. So the result of a nearly 4-hour public hearing and testimony of more than 20 speakers yesterday regarding the advantages and disadvantages of home sprinkler systems was that Worcester County will abide by the state of Maryland's International Building Code without opting out of the sprinkler clause. Many counties in Maryland are already requiring sprinklers as mandated by the state's new International Building Code. And Worcester County had to decide before the end of this year whether or not to opt out of the sprinkler clause. Beginning on January 1st, 2011, all new single-family and two-family duplex homes, including modular homes, will be required to have sprinkler systems in this county. This is for new construction only. Excluded are modular homes, renovations, remodeling, and repairs. Townhomes, businesses, and homes of 4 stories or more have been covered by Worcester County local law since 1988. So you don't have to worry about townhomes, high buildings. Testifying in favor of the home sprinkler systems as a life safety issue were many public safety people. The Worcester County's fire marshal, volunteer fire departments, we had some national and statewide firefighter organizations, a representative of the fallen firefighter groups, and an insurance broker talking about the discounts you get on your homeowner's policy if you have sprinkler systems in the home. Opposing the sprinkler system requirement were builders and realtors, and their objection were their fears that the additional cost of sprinkler systems in new homes would make more houses unaffordable to potential home buyers and would further hurt an already struggling economy. For me personally, the most compelling statement that I heard, and I took reams of pages of notes, was about Prince George's County. Prince George's County has had sprinkler systems in new homes for 15 years now. And here are the statistics that they gave. Of the sprinklered homes, there were no fire fatalities. But of the there were 101 fire fatalities during those 15 years in non-sprinkled homes, and 0 in homes with sprinklers. So over a 15-year period, that's a pretty good track record. If there are any questions about Pines Plaza or any other issue, I'll be happy to answer them as quickly as I can. Okay.
And the connections, they won't have to be doing any digging across 589 or anything else? They
Uh,
go into existing piping, do you know?
Not at this point. When they connect, they will have to connect via a pipe at the library.
Oh.
So they will have to go under Route 589. I don't know how much disruption it will be or how long it will take, but that is at least 6 months, maybe 12 months away.
Gee, will this connection impact Ocean Pines' EDU situation?
No, no. The Ocean Pines EDUs have been reserved for the Pines Plaza Shopping Center. So it's only, I can't give you the number, but it's only new things that would come up. They are reserved for the shopping center, and nobody knows how many EDUs they're going to need because we don't know what businesses are going to be put in there. I do know that the car wash has been ordered to have a recycling of their water, which is a really good idea. They were using a lot. Any other questions?
Thank you, Jude.
Thank you very much for your report.
Thank you very much. Oh, and I do apologize if there are any typos or anything. I did type it late last night. And it was late because my son and daughter-in-law had a baby last night.
Oh, right.
So I was typing it around that event. So thank you for having me.
For those of you who have just arrived, just to let you know, at 10:30 we're going to convene over across the parking lot in the community center for the golf and food and beverage discussion. So we are going to reconvene over there at 10:30. So if you're here for that topic, we're going to be going over there at 10:30 because we had a lot of folks here this morning and we're set up to move over there for a bigger crowd. You're welcome to stay if you want. Just want to make sure you're aware of that for those who just got here. John?
On the pending action list, I sent it out to all of you. I didn't have any comments back. I would ask that you take a look at this and update it. There are things on the due dates that are clearly past due dates, and I need we need to decide where we're going on those items, whether it's the comprehensive planning committee or some of the things we're discussing today. We just need to get it back out to task force, etc.
Due to our schedule today, we'll John, as you and I talked about, we'll talk individually with the owners of each of these action items and update it at the next meeting. Okay? Fair enough. General Manager's report.
All right. I've got a little bit of a presentation, but I did want to pass this out to each of you for the IRS update. That's what I just handed you is directly from TGM, where they gave us a further breakdown of what our impact may be should the suit, should the results of the suit stay where they are. We're going to schedule a meeting, a conference call with the board to talk with the attorneys to discuss the options to appeal. I spoke with them last week, Art and I did, at length about our options. An appeal to the Fourth Circuit Court is certainly what they're recommending, and I know that the board has also discussed pursuing other action. And Pete, would you like to discuss that?
Yeah, one of the things the board did discuss was getting a second opinion, and had asked me to see if I could affect that. I have, in accordance with that request, been in contact with the tax partner of PricewaterhouseCoopers, who has, I've discussed the case with and provided him the information. He in turn is tapped into the resources of PricewaterhouseCoopers National Office, and partners who specialize in unincorporated business taxes are being pulled in to review our case. We need permission for them, which Bob will arrange, to have discussions with the attorneys from Gordon, Feinblatt, and Rothman in Baltimore. So I have followed through on that request and been in touch with PricewaterhouseCoopers National Office representatives, and they're going to give us a reaction to it, and are prepared to give us a full second opinion. They want to do a first blush review, and that includes a conversation with the attorneys in Baltimore. So getting a second opinion is something we felt would be desirable, and that's how we're proceeding.
No question? Yes, sir.
Are they like doing this pro bono?
Initially, yes. Subsequently, no. We've not committed to anything financial yet.
Okay.
We're doing an initial review.
We're doing it pro bono initially, Dave.
Okay.
Just to see
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they think. Am I right? We need a,
No.
go ahead, John.
Is this internal or can this be
Internal.
passed off?
That's internal. That's what their numbers were. I just got the final this morning, so I just want to make sure you all had it in your hands.
Do we not need a motion to allow that agency to talk to our tax attorneys or anything like that?
Probably wouldn't hurt for the board. I mean, I
For the
don't
board,
think we
I
have
think we
to.
would.
I don't think you have to either.
We don't? Okay.
No.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't know if we needed to authorize the
No,
two to
you
talk to each
can't
other.
do
or
that.
not. Okay.
We're the
Fair
client,
enough.
and they just need,
Right.
they need permission from the client, and Bob can, I think, do that. Without that.
Okay. I'm going to
Sure I'll
run
have
through a
more-
couple.
I'm sure I'll have more questions once I read it.
I'm sure. Just, I thought instead of just reading off, I'd run through a couple things here with you guys. I went through it on slides. I think pictures make it a lot easier to go over some things. So, the report for today. I'm going to just run over some of the items that we have coming up, some of the things that I'm looking at, and some of the things that have been happening here with the staff over the last 3 weeks. First, 10-year task force has come up. The 10-year task force, as everybody knows, has been working up until recently with the facilities, and there was some question of how it was performed, how it was going to work moving forward. So what I did was put together my thoughts of what was going to happen with our current 10-year task force. The goal right now, or what I intend to do, is divide it into 2 separate groups. Before it was one overriding group. What we want to do is divide it into 2. Those 2 groups are going to break down into a planning team is going to be one side, and that's basically the strategic planning or long-term, looking at all the facilities and how the impact that they're having and what our plan needs to be to address the infrastructure and the facilities. The second part of the 10-year task force, which will be broken out on an as-needed basis, will be the implementation team. We did a very good job with that, with the building of the new community center, and that will be more on an as-needed, as projects come up. What will end up happening is to take one person from the 10-year task force planning team to help run the implementation team, because they're going to understand what the strategic plan is and how all the pieces work together when we have facilities that we're either going to do any construction or rehab. So that, the right-hand side is just something that will happen on an as-needed. My intent is to take the 10-year task force and start to reassemble that with non-board members for the most part, so we can give updates and I'll update you guys on a monthly basis on where things are with them. Any questions about where we're going with the 10-year task force? Okay.
Bob, just, Teresa, can we put these slides on the web so that folks can see them? Okay, thanks.
Contracting process. Just go over what the plan is with the contracting process moving forward. This is something that was implemented before, and we're going to make sure we continue to adhere to it. These are for the contracts that occur on day-to-day and month-to-month, different things that pop up. So once a need's identified, I'll take a look and review that need. If it is something that we ought to consider contracting, we'll develop a contract there's a number of sources. If needed, we can go legal counsel. Many times these are smaller contracts, that just impact an event or something, moving an aquatics program or something along that line. Once we create that contract from whatever means, then it will go to our contract review team. Now, those that don't know this, over the last year, we have had a contract review team in place. Mr. Terry was actually on that team. It's my intent to continue to use that team to review all our contracts, so we have more than one set of eyes approving them. I think that's what's gotten us at some of the things I've been looking at, some of the knots that have been tied pretty tight for us, because we didn't have enough eyes on contracts. So I intend to use that team fully. Mr. Terry may or may not remain on that team. We've talked about it. So
I've made that decision. I'm not going to continue to stay on that committee, because this committee will be feeding up to me the contract that I'm supposed to sign. So I don't want to be on a review committee of a contract I'm going to sign myself. So you'll have to find a stellar replacement.
which we can do. We already have it. We actually already have some
It's
really
easy to
good
find,
members.
right?
Yeah, we have some great.
None more
members to
stellar than
replace.
you than
All the talent in this community, we'll find.
We can find a replacement, but we already have 2 or 3 very, very good people that have different backgrounds that have helped with that in the past. And the ones that we've used the review team for have worked out well. The ones that we haven't, not so well. So I intend to continue to use that process. Once they approve it or approve it with changes, we make the changes, and then we move forward and implement or execute whatever the plan is for that particular contract. So I want to make sure I share that with the board. That's my intent, and that's how we're going to move forward with the contracts.
I do have a question.
Sure?
On the needs issue,
Yes.
the most critical part of any contract, in my personal opinion, is the statement of work. Who is going to review that for the little, very important wording in that there? That's been the challenge that I have seen. The contract review team that's come in after the contract has gone out, or the RFP has gone out to the potential bidders, and they have come back in with their offers. But who is going to review it beforehand? If we don't have it reviewed beforehand, we're still gonna have problems.
Well, the challenge, there's not an easy answer for that, John, and the primary reason why is it depends on what the contract's for. If it's a contract to build a small building at the golf facility to serve the balls, that's a smaller group that doesn't need that type of process. If it's a contract, for example, aquatics programming, it's going to take a different level. So that's really going to depend on what level that contract is.
Well, my recommendation would be is that to GM, once you look at, you make that decision, there is a review of the statement of work, of the RFP before it is released to the public. And I don't mean just a legal review, because that's just, most everything we do is legally sufficient, but we're not looking at it from a business perspective. And it's critical, in my personal opinion, that that be done and be done before the RFP is released. And I think that needs to be dotted off your GM line.
Yeah, Bob, I would agree with that. I think that's a good idea.
I'm going to ask you to help me with that,
Not
John.
a problem.
Perfect.
Any other comment? Guidance? Dave, anything? Rick?
Okay.
Execute the GM,
What's that?
execute the GM?
No, no, not
Not execute the GM, no, the GM executes the contract.
That's not a bad idea.
I know, that's a good question. I guess it depends on how well it works, you know? I should change that next
Come very
time.
quickly.
Okay, we're entering into the budget process. I just wanted to run through how this was going to work. It's very similar to what we did last year, just, and I've spoken with several of the board members about this that were involved last year. First, how it starts is the board gives their guidance. You know, what the overall guidance or the theme for building the budget would be. We did that last year, and that's a normal course of action. That's per the bylaws. From there, I'll take that information and you know, translate that into the right information to pass on to, and you notice there's stars because I put stars for all the departments. You know, they're the superstars of our group. So I'll pass that information out to them for them to start working the budget. And I will tell you, we've already started the process of developing wants, needs, desires at the department levels, even before this has begun. Just, we need to get ahead of it. From there, they'll funnel that back to me to put the final pieces together. Once we've done that, we've created you know, the budget itself of what we see as needing from an operational standpoint. Then obviously it goes to the board and to the Budget and Finance Committee for review. So that process, typically last year we received it Christmas Eve, the budget, if you all remember. It's not my intent to pass a budget out Christmas Eve, just so you know.
Christmas Day?
Yeah, no, it's so we're gonna have to talk about that because I know I just think that's bad timing. So we're either gonna push it up by a week or two or the other direction by a week or two, but hand you the budget just for the holiday. Didn't make sense to me last year, and I don't intend to do it to you guys this year. From there, after it's reviewed and the final swag's taken at, the board will obviously approve whatever we've submitted without changes.
Of course.
Just checking.
Yeah, right.
And then we implement.
Good
You
luck.
notice I didn't put execute on the bottom, thank goodness,
Yeah,
right?
I'd just like to emphasize something on that in one of the conversations, Bob, you and I have had about this flow. The level of where the stars are. Some of you have known, and others may hear for the first time, I am very focused on potential revenue generation. I want the department heads to look at what revenue, even more than they have in the past, you know, with more marketing and more promotion and, you know, the tools that they might need. You know, tell us what you need to generate revenue. Now, not every department is a revenue generator, and I realize that. Some are cost management, but I just want to make sure that the board and the public were aware that at the star level this year, we're really focusing in on revenue generation and ideas and products to try to make sure that we get as much out of this engine on the positive side before it even gets to the point of getting to the Budget and Finance Committee. And in my mind, there could be some dotted lines in this thing, Brian, to your committee on the Budget and Finance as we're working through some of this. So this is the top level picture, not the in-depth flow of every single thing that's going to go on.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
So questions, comments? Dave?
Yeah, recognizing that this is the top level picture, and, you know, as I said, the devil's in the details. One thing I think that needs to be continued, that started last year, is the fact that the interaction between the department heads and the Budget and Finance
Absolutely.
Committee. And that's not reflected in that chart, but I think it needs to be emphasized. I think that was an important feature of creating last year's budget, and a little bit the year before. It's kind of when it started.
Good point. Yeah, I think we're both saying the same thing. We would, even at the highest level, I'd like to see a dotted line between Budget and Finance in the department. Okay.
I have a question about that. Where would you see that dotted line being placed?
In my mind, Pete, is partially when you get to the star level and they're trying to figure out what revenues they can get in what budget, and just, you know, there are some resources in the Budget and Finance Committee that can help them. They're not accountants, they're not finance people. You know, reach out and get help rather than being on an island. Let's reach out and get the help that they might need.
One of the things I think worked well, first of all, we've done this the last couple of years, and there are 2 points of interaction, I believe. One is between, when it goes to the Budget and Finance Committee, that review process has, over the last several years, involved meeting with the department heads and interacting. But there's another point of interaction, which I believe you initiated last year, which I thought was very positive, was even up earlier than that, a series of questions and seeking of information long before it got to the Budget and Finance Committee, right?
Yes.
And I believe, Bob, you have that in mind, don't you?
Yeah, we talked about
Okay,
that already.
good.
Yeah, that's in the
So there are
layers
2 points of
down.
interaction there.
Yeah, yeah,
Good.
yeah. We intend to keep all the good stuff that's been going on and try to focus in on eliminating
I'm
the.
in favor of that.
Are you in favor of that? Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions about the
Good,
budget?
no, I think this is good. Any other comments? Ray, anything? You good?
Fine, yeah.
All right.
We've had a lot of changes recently, obviously, and I just wanted to give you guys sort of a heads up. Staff over the last 3 weeks have been responding extremely well. I just, I already knew what a great group that we had to work with. Every day I'm just impressed with how hard this organization works to do the right thing. Things that we focused on, and I'll tell you, everyone's been open arms. I haven't had pushback from anybody at any level, which has been really nice. We are conducting weekly staff meetings. What's really good about that is one of the things that I'm working real hard is to talk about communication and team building. It's not just as words that you hear cliche, but these are things that are actually interacting amongst the departments. One of the strategies that we've already been working through is the staff meetings are not just held in this building. We've rotated to the functional areas, and that's working out very well because it's allowing our staff to see what each section actually deals with on a day-to-day basis, which is nice. We had one of our staff meetings at 8 o'clock at the Beach Club. After the staff meeting, we toured the Beach Club, top to bottom, basement, around the pool area. So everyone knows what that facility contains and what it's all about. And then the folks that run that, share their thoughts as they go through it. Really good part about that is now all the department heads are aware of it. So as they're going through their daily operations, if they see something that can help the other, someone in that location, that cross feed is there. And it's worked out very, very well. And I think if you talk to any of the department heads, they're going to tell you that they've enjoyed the move. Instead of just coming in here and doing a dump, it's actually a great sharing experience. So that's going extremely well. The next thing is we implemented, and I'll pass this around. I just made one copy. I just didn't think it was necessary to burn it, but a new work order process, and Mr. Rako actually had his hands on this as well, which I appreciate. Was we're now printing a weekly work order process, which basically goes out to all the department heads. Some of the challenges we had with some of the negativity out there was just people just weren't communicating, didn't know where they basically fit in the rack and stack of what was actually being handled by Public Works and when it was being handled. This document that I'm passing around actually now gets emailed out to all the department heads. They're able to open it up, scan it, look at their department, and then see what work orders have been put in and where they are in that process. It eliminates when we have something broken in their department, someone's complaining, or they're not sure why it's not getting fixed. They now know where it is, and they also see where it stacks up with everybody else, the entire organization, which I think is helpful. The other thing that we found, this also eliminates or does that cross-check. Someone says, oh, well, I submitted a work order for it. Well, if it's not on the list, it probably didn't make the work order. Now they're able each Monday morning to be able to look at that and go, yes, this is working, or I need to add it to the list for whatever reason it got missed. So that's been a positive, and certainly I appreciate Public Works and Linda putting that report together for us. Any questions about the report? Okay. Just a way of communicating better. You're welcome. Okay, team approach to what we're doing, look at more effective communications. Teresa has done a fantastic job with the e-alerts. It's something, again, started before our time, but it's certainly, my time at least, but it's certainly, we're pressing forward as quickly as we can. We're trying to get more information out on a frequent basis. I will tell you, it's not perfect, it never will be, but we're certainly trying to improve it. interesting part is we're getting great feedback from it. You know, we do have some folks saying you should be doing it a little more this way or that way, but that's expected. But what I would tell you is not only at the table but in the room, if you want information about what's happening, sign up for the e-alerts. Give Teresa, give our marketing department a call and say, add me to your email list, because she's got about 2,000 names on there now. It's a great list. We update information. She sends out information about activities, about what's going on at the clubs, about what's going on around the Pines. As importantly, when events like the hurricane came up, we're blasting out alerts so people knew what was going on as soon as we, got the information. We tried to get it out. Okay, not necessarily the only means of communication, but it is one we're working real hard to continue to build. The other thing is public service announcement. I don't know if anybody's been on the website or watched 78, but Chief Massey, we had some issue with people recently stealing things out of cars. Every car that was broken into wasn't really broken into. The door was unlocked. The thieves opened the door and pulled out, the radar detector or the Garmin GPS or whatever it was. It was an easy target. And that was something we asked the chief, and he did a great job. So apparently he's not camera shy. So he, had no problem speaking to the camera. He even drove a car up and got out and did the whole, dog and pony show. So it was very, very good. But there are things we're trying to do to get information out in a number of different ways. So if you guys have something that you think we need to be communicating, you need to share it with us so we can, so we can get it out. Another thing Teresa's working on, and she started it before, but it sort of fell by the wayside only because she's a one-person deep shop. I promised I'd help her with it. We are going to be doing every other week we'll be doing a newsletter to the employees, keeping them abreast of what's going on within the community. Okay, and that's she started that a few months back. Again, one person deep, it's hard to get everything out. So I promised I'd help her work on that. I'm going to ask for the department heads to help us as well. Any questions about that? Comments, concerns? The hurricane that happened a couple weeks ago, I've got to tell you, it was a great second week on the job for me to be dealing with county, to be dealing with our public works, our fire department, our police department. We really, as a community, are very, very fortunate to have such great people around us. I mean, we had we were corresponding with the county all week long. Chief Massey went down at least daily down to the county EMS, to keep track of what was going on. Kerry Nelson at Public Works and his team, where they document and they track everything. Interestingly enough, and this just goes to how great our organization is, Kerry and his team predicted the exact track from the week before of where this hurricane was going to go. And I just kind of watched it, and he kept updating me daily. He was more accurate than the Weather Channel on where it was going to go. He's got a couple of guys there that just love weather, and they watch it, follow it. That's kind of a hobby. They pretty much, when the Weather Channel said there's a swing here, Kerry was like, Bob, we're thinking it's going to go right here. It's going to be here at this time. And they were spot on. Now, with that being said, we did prepare well, and one of the things that we did, which apparently had not happened in the past, was that we pulled the fire, police, and public works up here. We also had to sit down and talked about staffing, talked about exit strategy, talked about what we were going to do, in case it did veer towards us. And I just couldn't be more impressed with the professionalism of the folks in each of those areas. So the community doesn't always know that, but I got to tell you, we're in good hands. So I just want.
Well, let me jump in there for a second, because I want folks to understand that this was an interesting experience for me as well. I've never been through a hurricane preparation process before. But what I want to refer to is your team's action list and plan for turning us back on again. That everything was strapped down, waiting for the plan. We gave people the morning off. They didn't come in case we got hit. If the rule was, if they didn't get hit, get in here and go back to work, open the pools back up again, and get back into business as fast as possible. So we just give everybody the day off in case it happened to hit. I commend you and your team for that approach, because we were back in business in Ocean Pines by 1 or 2 o'clock that day. So it may not have been sunny yet, but I commend you and your team for that. Thank you.
Any questions from any of you guys on that?
Excuse me, can I just go back to
Yes,
our
sir.
question
Yes, sir.
to verify on parked cars without a license,
Okay.
okay? Is it the responsibility of CPI or is it the responsibility of the police department?
Well,
And who enforces it?
It's actually off subject. I'll leave
Yeah,
it there.
we'll get, when we get to public comment, you came in late.
Yeah,
Okay, we're actually
I was
reconvening.
fine.
I'm sorry about this, but we're reconvening at 10:30 across the street
Oh.
for the other topic.
Oh.
And public comment will happen then and questions, okay? So we'll get to your
I'm
question.
sorry.
No reason to apologize. That's fine.
okay, thanks.
But
Okay.
interestingly, we have a couple CPI violations that may answer your question.
Okay.
That's coming in just a moment. Just a quick update for you guys. Swimmer racket. You know, work's been done over there. I want to update you on a couple other things that we decided to do. First, Harkins was our contractor that did the pool decking and everything. There was some cracking and stuff with that much concrete that was expected. They're back and they've got a plan where they're fixing that. So we're confident that's going to happen. One of the things you notice if you walk around that facility, there was approximately 8-foot area that had grass coming up in it. It was low, trash kept collecting in it, and the plan was to plant marsh grass in that area. And that's from the pool, from the lattice, out to the metal bulkheading, that dirt area, and then you step down onto the pier, okay, that was built out there. Well, the challenge with the marsh grass, if planted, creates the same thing. Trash is constantly, because of the wind and because the area stuff off the pool stuff in. The lifeguards and staff over there were walking down daily, but we just couldn't keep up with the amount of debris and trash that just builds up between the wind, between the boats that dock there, stuff coming off. So talking with Public Works, we decided to take a different strategy, and we're putting 2-inch washed river stone. Okay, much easier to keep clean. The water can still, it's pervious, so the water can still run through it, so it doesn't create any drainage issues for us. And quite frankly, it's going to just be a cleaner, nicer appearance. And talking with Kerry when I asked him to explore that option, we're concerned about, how much it was going to cost us. It was about a third of what we had expected it to cost when he and I initially talked about it, and we had money that was left over from the construction itself, that we didn't over budget, we had some money left. So it's all well within the budget. Actually, it's still slightly under. I hate to say that because then something else would come up, but realistically, it's being covered out of funds that we'd already pledged for it. So they put some more dirt in, and they're supposed to be putting this new stone in either today or tomorrow. So I think that's going to put the final touches around that dock area, which should be very nice. In addition, they're starting on the finger piers that are out there that they've done their construction and they've gotten all the permitting. They're starting to add those. The gazebo that was out there that was just never used has been washed. Bird netting has been put up. So the problem was people weren't using it and birds were starting to get up inside the gazebo area. And if you've never been there, that's one of the most spectacular places just to sit and look at the water. It's beautiful. And no one was using it. It's all been cleaned up. Netting's been put in, and we put more we only had one picnic table. Now there's an assortment of picnic tables. So I want to encourage everyone to either go see it and or use it. It really is a neat little area, for folks to use, and it's far underutilized. The other thing that's come up there year after year is Fisher Marine, who does our wrapping, has stored equipment there, and starting in September, they start bringing sand and all the other things associated with building marine. We've asked them to consider, and we're working with Kerry to consider moving some of that to some alternate locations, and there's a couple that we're looking at. In addition to that, they've agreed that we're not going to start work, and they haven't until this week. And moving forward, we're going to start doing it October 1st instead of September 1st. So it just makes sense to continue to use it. It's our facility. We're not using it because we end up with marine equipment everywhere. That just didn't make sense. So we've got a plan in place there. So actually, our next staff meeting next Tuesday will be out at the gazebo, so everybody gets to see it and see where it is and what it's about, so we can refer people to it. Questions about that?
Yeah, they've been promising to move those ugly barges for 20 years.
They're moving. I'm on it. They're moving them.
That's the only way.
And they want to work with it. No, you know what,
Yeah.
I found very, very refreshing. They want, they understand that it's an eyesore and they get grief about it every year. They don't, the challenge is where they can put it, but we've got a couple locations that we think are going to work just as good. The other thing is, we had to be cognizant of the cost. The other option we had, which other people had suggested when we bid, was storing the stuff on barges out in the bay or on floating docks elsewhere. The problem is it triples the cost for the wrap. So there's a give and take, because of the storage and having these barges floating out there with the additional. So there's a middle ground. So we're working on that. But they were great. I mean, they really understood the issue and they're working with us. Any questions about what's going on down there? That should pretty much, when these things are finished, wrap up that project for us, to include the punch list and everything. Now, the other thing out there that we are doing, which wasn't on the radar scope, anyone's been out to the swimming racket have seen the creosote dripping from the beams, okay? And it's as much work that we've done out there, it just was amazing to me that would continue. Problem is, it's in these big long beams. I mean, they're soaked with, that was part of what was used. Talking with Kerry Nelson, the solution that we're trying, and we're going to do it on 2 or 3 of them and see how it works, if it holds it, is they're wrapping them in a material. There's 2 materials we're going to try, and wrap those beams so it's not dripping down onto the deck, onto the chairs. It should clean up, and look very nice, and we're hoping that holds. The problem with creosote, it pretty much finds any crack and it soaks through about anything. So we're going to try a couple of materials over this winter and see if that works to clean that up for us. Okay? So hopefully that makes Swim and Racket even nicer place to use. County roads, just so you all know, the county should start next week repairing roads in Ocean Pines. Now, understand they're not repaving roads, but there's a lot of potholes, there's a lot of things that have happened in Ocean Pines where they've had to cut through for water and some of those things where they actually have a crew that's supposed to start next week. I was talking to Kerry Nelson about that. And so that you should start to see them working in here next week to do some of those repairs. Because if you're driving down the Parkway and obviously some of the other roads, you see some of you wonder why there's more and more holes and more and more things happen. The county has a plan to repair that. Again, it's not repaving everything, but you'll see them out working. Bridges, you all know that we do have some work that needs to be done on the bridges, on the minor side. Next week, Kerry is working with the folks from the county to finalize that plan so we can get started on the minor repairs that need to be done. Paddleball court?
Bob,
Yes.
on the bridges, because you're talking about the one at the golf course, am I right, and the one over, is that going to impact on boats going out at all? Do we know that yet?
We don't know, but the initial response is it should not.
Okay.
Because of
It's minor repairs, sprawling concrete, some things that they can wrap, but we won't know until we finalize that plan. But I'm told it should not. And part of the reason it's waited till the fall is we have less traffic to deal with anyway. Paddleball court, for those that don't know, was in disrepair. It was recently resurfaced. If you go down to paddleball, folks are very pleased with it. It looks great. The lines, I mean, it turned out very, very nice. In the bathroom over the tennis facility, it was as with everything, nothing's an easy fix. There was things that led to the expansion joint behind the wall in the women's bathroom, which caused the cracking, which caused the flooding in the tile. That's all been fixed and replaced. Okay, last things, rabies clinic last night. Anybody that wasn't here last night, I know it's about 4:30 or 5 o'clock, the parking lot just was jammed packed. And when I left about 7:30, it was still packed. The county came in and did a fantastic job. I was very impressed with how well it was being run. It's neat to watch things work well. And the number of our residents that were using it, taking advantage of the clinic here was just fantastic. So just, those types of things are happening. We had the health fair last weekend, and that was the inception from the Communication Advisory Committee months ago. It was well attended, and it seemed like a very good event for us. The next thing that we're planning, and we are in the planning stages of this, is we're working with a company to do a home and garden show here in the last weekend in April. right here at our community center. So that's one of the next big events we're trying to plan. Okay? Any questions about any of those items? A little different report, but I thought I'd just kind of update you guys on everything going on. If I can jump into CPI, if that's okay with everybody? Yes, thank you.
I'm not sure what the order of things are, so, is CPI the last thing you're gonna address?
Well, we have it went from budget, which was part of that. The next one is CPI on the agenda. I'm following the agenda. The budget part of it was in the presentation.
Okay, that's the budget. Yeah, that's the budgeting process. Okay,
Is there something
general
you want to-
manager
Go ahead, Dave, bring it
report.
up, whatever it is.
Okay, we're about, what, a little better than 4 months into our fiscal year. When will we expect to see the first financial report? Which are done quarterly, as you know.
Yes, I've already spoken to Mr. Terry about that. The goal well, typically that's up on the board and we're going over it. Decided we would wait until the next month to do that, and even Pete and I actually spoke about that last week. But just from the standpoint of getting our numbers factual, and to be honest with you, Dave, I just want to make sure they're spot on, accurate, and I understand and present it to you a little differently than we used to get it report.
Well, it's always
I
a
can give you
challenge to
this
do them.
report. I mean, it's prepared.
That's Art Carmine's report, right?
Yeah, that's all that usually gets read. I think
Now, usually, as we started, with the last board, we had quarterly reports presented to the board as part of the general manager's report. At least that's my recollection.
which was Art Carmine's report.
Which was not Art Carmine's report exactly. It was based obviously on Art Carmine's report, but it wasn't. I mean, I can go back and get past minutes.
May I jump in?
Sure.
Just so nobody misunderstands, we directors get reports, financial reports, each and every month, and we have it now in our packets, I believe, through the end of August. I think what Dave is referring to, and there's a very distinct difference between what's in here, which is historical, and typically the quarterly report given by the general manager in the past forecasts the rest of the fiscal year.
That's part of
So,
it, yeah.
well, that's a key part. Everything else came from here. The only thing that is not in here is the projection for the remainder of the year.
Correct.
And so that's, but all that, we are about $90,000 favorable to budget through the end of 4 months. So in any event, we have this information. The thing that's missing is the projection for the rest of the year, and I believe you intend to do that for next time.
Correct.
Okay,
What's
well,
up there?
I think we established as a requirement last year that the general manager report.
Periodical report, right.
Not periodically, quarterly. Okay, I'm not questioning the first quarter, and I know it's difficult because even in the next time, you know, will you, I don't remember with the meeting date, but whether or not you'll have all of the half numbers in time to make up the report. That's always been in. I'm just simply asking the question.
Dave, let me.
Don't bother me.
Bother me at all.
Are we going?
Yes, you are.
Are we going to expect to
This
see
was
that
yeah.
in October? Okay.
Yeah,
So that's
your
the answer.
point's well taken. This, quite frankly, was my call behind the scenes to say the general manager just got here. He wanted to make sure the numbers were right. I endorsed that, but you're absolutely correct.
Yeah,
The
it's
next
not
meeting
criticism.
No, I know. I'm not taking it that way. I'm just making sure people understand. He didn't act on this on his own. We had the same discussion to say, let's make sure the numbers are right. We gotta change the regime here, so let's make sure that we're comfortable and that, quite frankly, and Bob wanted to have time to check with each of the board members to make sure they were getting from him, the general manager's seat, all the information they needed. Okay, so, good point.
I'd like to clarify from Bob. I think when Bob says he wants to make sure all the numbers are right, I don't think you're talking about the historical
No.
numbers, but rather
No,
the
moving
projection.
forward.
Yeah, that's the
Correct.
point. He's not suspicious of these. He's really saying he wants a little more time to project out the rest of the year.
What's coming up, because I don't want to just throw something out there
Right.
based on what we've done in the past.
And that's
So,
the key distinction between this and.
Okay,
Fair enough.
Yeah, good.
for that question.
Good point.
If there's more afterwards,
Next question.
and Dave, if
Next.
there's more afterwards you want to see, let me know, because I can certainly
after.
include it. Like if there's other things you'd like to see
No, I
in
think
that
we just have to
report.
look at the last meeting that we had formally.
Well,
Look at the
since I was a
report.
board member,
Look at the
David, I
report.
know what we did.
I know you do.
I'm aware of it.
It's not an idea.
This is not a hard question.
No, it's not.
Okay,
difficult
what's your
at
next
all.
question?
Any other hard one?
Okay, the next question is, speaking of hard, do you have copies of your report?
Of this? Yes.
Okay.
I didn't distribute it yet.
But you're going to?
Yeah, I have a, do you want my copy? You're
Well,
welcome
no, I
to
don't
it
want
if
your
that's what
copy,
you
I
need.
want a copy and
Here,
preferably.
you have, I'll print the rest for you guys.
And if you have it in soft copy, I mean, it would be good too, because
I'm sorry, define soft copy for me.
electronic copy.
Electronic copy.
Okay, well, I've given you that. You also
Okay.
want it electronically?
Will that be put on? the,
No, let me ask the question a little bit more.
Just tell me what you
clearly then.
need and I'll be happy to get it for you.
It's not a question of what I need. What I want to know is whether or not you plan in the future to deliver a general manager's report prior to the meeting, such that the board, to all of the board members. Is that I mean, that's a process that we've been doing for the last 3 years, as you well know, as a board member. Okay. Now, I'm just asking, Bob.
Dave, it's all right. I'd be happy to do it.
I think it would be a very good idea to see
Happy
the
to do so.
report before the meeting, if we can.
Sure.
To see if it's at all possible.
Absolutely.
Bob, will you be putting that on the web?
Yes.
On the-
Yeah,
on the
Yeah, he,
full-
Yeah,
he had asked
I asked
when
for
we
that.
started, so.
yeah,
Beforehand, after the board.
after the board meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, and now this, let me, if I can, because, again, one of the problems with hearing it for the first time is that, you know, you react to things that, my thinking is slow, if I can put it that way. Going back to the, you mentioned this work order process very earnestly. Okay, my question was, and if you already said it,
No, it's all
I
right.
apologize.
No, it's all right.
The principal point that you made is that the work order process is going to basically let people, check to see that their particular thing and where it is in the pecking order. I think that's kind of where you used. Okay, good idea. Now, my question is, okay, you'll have this list. Where will it be published? Will it be on the web or how
No.
would people get to know to see it?
No, that's fine. It's distributed to all the department heads on every Monday. This isn't a for public consumption per se. I mean, this is something, an internal document that we've created to let the department heads function and communicate more effectively.
So it's a management tool?
It's an internal management.
Cool.
This came about because there were a number of things that were brought to the board's attention when they went looking for the work order. The individual department says I put it in, and then when we went to check, there wasn't anything in there. And so Bill said, you know, the only way to do that, folks, is you're responsible for your work order, you're responsible for checking it. So this is a new internal management tool that was implemented 2 months ago and followed up, you know.
Good initiative.
I don't-
It should be a, pretty much of a copy of what Kerry Nelson set up 4 or 5 years ago when he first started down there, because he started all this electronic internal work orders to manage day-to-day items. And I don't think other departments did, so I'm glad to see this because it is precisely what they need.
Now, the next thing that we're going to do, that I'm working with Carrie on, is to create, you saw it passed it around, it's by department. The next thing we're gonna do is get a rack and stack of, a mesh of all the departments, so we know what their project list from a priority, you know, someone in aquatics versus someone in rec and parks have conflicting priorities. They'll know at least where they fit amongst all the other departments as well. That's the next thing. It's not something that's ready yet. Carrie's telling me it's something that can be created, and we're working on it.
Okay, so the benefit to sort of the broader association then is that if somebody asks a question and says, for example, you know, I thought we were gonna be working on this project A, and, you know, I haven't seen anything done, and where does that stand? You'll be able to get a faster and accurate response.
That's the goal, yes. Yeah, and that way, you know, if they're, I'll give you an example, the pool at the yacht club, the women's restroom toilet had been broken for for 3 or 4 weeks.
Good example, yeah.
And, you know, well, the work orders, when you got involved in it, everybody's pointing this way. And I said, wait a minute, let's look, and we looked, there was a miss somewhere. So now we're able to track that. If you say, hey, the work order's in, but then you see it, you know, Quacks Department sees it Monday morning, when the work order's not in, need to make a call down and make sure it's
Okay,
happening.
So one of the ladies calls up and says, what the heck? You know, you can say, let me get on the computer, there it is, and it's scheduled for, okay.
And I'm
Yes.
assuming, Bob, that this will also allow you as the general manager to look at the whole workload and say, this moves to the top of the list.
It will help us
Or move it up,
prioritize,
you
working with,
prioritize of
Correct.
what things are done.
but with the next list that Kerry Nelson and I are gonna have is a tool to do just that.
Okay.
Just that, you know, if we have a hot issue that comes up that may be a higher priority, we'll be able to track it and discuss it. And I've gotta tell you, he's doing a very good job with that. I mean, he was quick with this, and he's working hard to create the next one, so we're all on the same page.
So hopefully the answer is not, I don't know. on that
Correct,
question.
yeah, I don't know his good answer.
Probably not a good answer.
Is there
Next,
another?
good. Yes, thank you. CPI?
Am I good? Yeah. Okay. CPI.
Tell me which one we're going on, because I got them out of order when I was reading.
No, that's fine, I did too, so we'll all have to work together on this one. There's a couple different pieces here. My packet's a little heavier than yours because I had to do some background on, so bear with me.
Good.
All right, let's,
Should be.
yeah. All right, what's the top one on your list?
You call out the name rule.
All right, let's go with 75 Camelot,
Okay.
okay? Okay, you guys see the notifications have gone back and forth. Basically, what we have on this one is lattice surrounding a fuel tank. The lattice is leaning up there, falls frequently. The concern, well, it's not covered properly, as you can see it from one angle, but the other, it's not fully enclosing like it's supposed to be. Secondly, it's certainly not fixed the way it's supposed to be. It becomes an eyesore. And the fact that this one falls down, the folks who make contact and ask to repair it, they haven't repaired it as they're supposed to. So the recommendation, which I agree with, is to send it to our attorney, to send them a letter saying, hey, you need to get this done because you're in violation. Now, this may seem like a minor issue, but my thoughts on it. With the fuel costs where they were last year and the expectation they're going to be high again this year, I think the opportunity to see more tanks popping up is going to be more prevalent this year and possibly next year. You know, our DRs, everything that we have that tells us how we're conducting business says these types of things need to be covered a certain way. If we start to let them slide now, 6 months, a year down the road, what are we going to end up with? And I think it protects our property values to make sure we're covering these correctly, as we do with everything else. So my recommendation is that you guys allow us to press forward and send them a letter from the attorney so that this gets corrected.
Questions, comments?
How many letters you sent them?
It's on.
Well, it's right, see the front?
See it on the front.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
We have
Joe.
first,
Yeah.
there's a history.
In your board
In your board
packet,
packet.
here, you can look at, oh, there you go. This shows you the process that's been followed so far. First letter went out March 26th, as an example. Follow-up, another letter was sent in May. Follow-up, another letter was sent in June. You see we've made, and then we sent certified mail to them in, you know, late June.
We're following the proper procedure.
Oh, we're
Lots
following
and lots of
Procedures
conduct.
to the
many.
Bob, I looked at the address, and of course, the mailing address is different, but it's in Ocean Pines. So, interesting.
Oh,
We're
it's
talking
Ocean-
about 75 Camelot, but the mailing address of the folks is 30 Harlem Trace. So this must be a second property?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
But they live in
I
Ocean
believe
Pines,
it's-
that's not the
I
primary
believe
residence.
it's a rental. I believe this is a
Rental,
rental.
okay. So nonetheless, I said,
Still needs
absolutely,
to be
it
taken
needs to be
care of.
taken care of, right?
Yeah, well, it's, you know, going back again in history over the last year. Yes, the question was, I think, frequently asked, anybody call these people up and find out what was going on?
Well, 419, it says they spoke to them.
Yes, they've been contacted.
Warning.
Member
In
contacted.
the chronological order of contact, it says on April the 19th, they spoke to the owner and so forth. So I think the answer is yes.
And they have, in this case, they did in fact pick up a certified letter.
Yeah.
So the return receipt came back that they picked it up.
Down the road, no.
Everybody okay with that?
I'm good with it.
You want to take it one at a time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just,
Let's take them one at a time. Any objections?
Yeah.
No.
Move ahead.
okay, let's go to 84 Sandy Hook. Okay, this one's yeah, this one's a little more perplexing. This house is in foreclosure. Okay, you see by the roof, you know, you see that the danger, what's that? You see the danger sign on it. The concern comes in is, you know, if the roof caves in or something, you know, what's gonna be the next step here? The recommendation we have, and you can see the close-ups of the roof, it's creating a hazard there, it's already a health hazard, so, we're recommending that we send, anybody have it? Recommend that we also, have our attorney's office move forward with this, with whoever owns it, and it's in foreclosure, so it's gonna be the bank. But we need to have something done with the property.
Let me ask a awkward question on this one. It's posted as unsafe
Correct.
for any occupancy, but we're asking them to go in and fix the roof. How can they do that?
Well,
What, I mean, we're kind of caught between a tornado and a hurricane on this one.
we are, but by asking the attorney to clarify and send them a letter saying we need to make this property safe, I think a big part of why this is unsafe, other than being empty and, you know, some of the deterioration with the property, but the roof is the biggest hazard.
Is this something that we would combine efforts with the county? Is this posting as a county posting? Did I see a picture of here?
Yes.
I think there's a difference what you're being concerned about. One is, this says it's not occupied, you cannot have it.
Right.
It does not mean you cannot go and fix it up to make it habitable. So, I mean, that's the issue that we're looking for.
We're just enforcing our own little.
We're just saying we gotta go back in.
I'm just looking for,
You know,
quite frankly, I'm sitting here worrying about the roof repair worker who's gonna get hurt trying to work on this house. But I understand. Okay, I'm not against moving forward. I just, want to make sure we know what we're
The
doing.
important thing here, this is in foreclosure, and pretty soon be owned by somebody else presumably.
Right.
They'll be forced to comply.
The attorney take care of that.
We
All right.
enforce our ARC rules, and they'll
Any
be forced to-
objections?
What,
No.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Dave.
What rule are we enforcing?
It's an unsafe property. We're just going on record with the attorney to say, you know, the house is in disrepair, homes in Ocean Pines in disrepair need attention, so it's a health hazard right now.
No, that's a county
No,
issue.
that's a county. No, I think what we're saying, Bob, is, because we're not responsible for health and safety in the county,
Right.
okay? What we're really doing is enforcing our own DNRs, which speak to maintenance,
Correct.
property shall be properly maintained.
Correct.
Has nothing to do from our standpoint with health and safety. I think that's a county responsibility. They've already assumed that.
So we're,
So we're just simply trying to enforce our own rules and regs.
our problem is it looks ugly. Not that it's unsafe.
Here it is, I'll quote it for you. It's right in your packets here, gentlemen. It says, "Lots and buildings shall at all times be maintained in such manner as to prevent them from becoming unsightly."
Unsightly, yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, not, no, but he said unsafe, and I think, okay.
And I'm saying,
I call for action on it.
our problem is that it's unsightly to
Unsightly.
the extent that it's really unsightly.
It's really unsightly.
Unsightly is pretty much in the eye of the beholder, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's
I
unsightly.
would vote this as unsightly, but I think, Dave, your focus on what it is we're talking about is good. Because we're talking about, in order to fix this, you gotta fix the roof.
Yeah.
But, okay. So, our movement forward is about the unsightliness
Right.
of it, which is why I was referring to the other posting. We're not connecting to the other posting.
No.
No? Okay, let's talk about this.
We need to go on record
Okay.
that this work needs to be done. Okay, we can't have homes falling apart around us. It's a pretty simple, I guess I'm surprised at the level of attention here. Look at the pictures. We have a house with the roof caving in. It impacts value of all our property owners, especially the neighbors. It needs to be repaired. we need to go on record saying this needs to be done.
Here we
We
are.
need to direct our attorney to send a letter asking whomever is in charge of it now, which I have to assume is gonna be the bank, to rectify the situation.
And you're recommending that we refer to
I
action?
recommend that we move
I would
forward.
move that we adopt that and.
Yeah, let's
do
move
something.
on.
Let's go.
Move to the next.
As long as our contention here is the unsightliness of it and not the safety of it.
Yeah.
It is.
See, it's up to the county.
Move on.
I mean, if it looked beautiful and the beams were falling down inside,
We have no say.
We
We would
not
make,
know.
Dave, good point.
That's all
That's not our
clarified.
responsibility,
All right.
yeah, as a county. Okay, let's go.
Let's move. Any objections? Move forward. Next.
Oh, I'm sorry, I've
Yeah,
got
which
more.
one you want?
Sorry, yeah, Mark,
Wow.
you're gonna have fun with this, let me tell you.
1260 Ocean Parkway?
Yeah, let's go to, which ones you go with?
1260 Ocean Parkway?
1260.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 1260 Ocean Parkway. Okay, this is a violation. We have a trailer, not supposed to be there. So, you see the actions that have been happening, the timeline. Final letter was sent, recommending that we send it to the attorney so they can start their process.
To clarify, on 524, the owner, there was a discussion held with the owner, and the owner, by stating that they would move it, they're agreeing they're in violation?
You're asking an attorney question. Our
I'm
job's
sorry,
to
it was
contact, no, it's all right. We contacted them. Our
They
department
said
contacted
they
them
they said it was,
and said they'd move it.
and they didn't.
So
And they
now
didn't.
we need to-
And they
yeah.
didn't.
Well, now we need to take action one way or the other. I recommend that we take action to have the trailer removed. And that's, the next step is to send them a letter saying, from our attorney, saying you need to remove your trailer.
This is another situation where the property at issue here is 1260 Ocean Parkway, the people mailing address is also,
rental.
yeah, so it's probably rental.
Probably rental property. Okay. Any question?
No,
Anything?
take action.
Take action? Right.
Yes, just for a moment. I think, as the board did a couple years ago with boat trailers, we are going to have to come up with a policy of people who own businesses and operate businesses out of their own home, how much interference we want to put in place in their way. They're trying to earn a living so they can live here. You see it in every community all around, everywhere. So I think we're going to have to come up with something that's very definitive.
When people are running business out of their homes, it should be zoned and licensed. So if they're running business.
No, they're not necessarily unlicensed. They can get the permits here from Ocean Pines and be licensed to operate their businesses.
Not running business.
Yeah, Ray, I think we can discuss that perhaps at a later time. and I-
Another time, but
Yeah,
that's
right,
different.
right.
It's definitely an issue that's worth discussing, and
Yes,
we will
okay.
put it on further agendas.
My intent is to enforce the rules until you guys
You got
tell
it.
me.
Absolutely.
Got it.
You wanna say
Okay.
those in?
My recommendation, we press forward
Exactly.
I'm
with
with
the
you.
attorney's letter.
Yep,
Objection?
let's do it.
Move forward.
1318?
Yep.
This one's been around for a
Okay.
while. Marty used to talk about this one.
Take a look at the, go to the pics on this one first, okay? This one's a I hate to, you know, we did have a complaint about it, so we had to go out and take a look. There's 2 or 3 bags of trash, it appears to be leaves or debris, okay? And we have a couple screens hanging down. Now, I know it's not our normal course of action to go remove trash or this, that, but, I mean, I talked to Kerry Nelson about it, he can send a crew over and have this fixed in less than an hour. We can still forward, you know, send it to the attorney to do it, but we can certainly go pick up the trash, which we've done on other properties, the 2 bags of trash. This appears to be a rental and just sitting vacant. So in lieu
Costs
of.
less to go fix it than it does to pay the attorney to go through all
Well,
this stuff.
I hate to say that, but in this
It's
particular
true.
case, I just think, that, you know, using judgment here, I would recommend just allow our folks to go out and pick up the do bags, throw it in the pickup and throw it. You know, it looks like, they look like leaves.
What do we do with the screen then?
They said, I talked to Kerry, he said the screen's there, you know, when they inspected, the screen's there, they can just tack it up so it's not hanging down where it could become a flying hazard through a wind or what have you.
The neighbors would appreciate that, I would
Yeah.
think.
The neighbors would appreciate that.
One of the issues I have, obviously, I see here there's no phone number listed. Now, we say this is a rental, do we know where the owner lives and have we tried to contact them at that?
The mailing address is where the owner lives.
Second,
Second, third line down.
That's where the letters went, was to
Okay, but
Glen
there's no
Court.
phone number at that location?
No phone is listed.
If we,
I didn't get my question.
I'm sorry.
No. No, they were not, they have not been able to be reached by phone.
Okay, so have we attempted to reach them at phone
The
by
attempt
popular
has been made,
Glen
but
Court?
they have not been able to contact the people. The attempt has.
Okay. It's just not on here.
can I ask
Go ahead.
I just want,
we go do the service for them, we're charging them?
Yes, that's our policy.
We do charge when we go out to do these types of things.
They're already two years delinquent in their payments.
Right.
Right.
That was a good observation.
Yeah, it's highlighted on mine.
Do we, okay, we're going into someone's house,
Yeah, I'm wondering about that.
or on someone's house, and we're fixing it and doing something to it without their permission. Exactly how much latitude do we have to do that? Where in the DRs or in the guidelines or anything, you know, for that matter, give us the authority to do what we
It's
do?
in the DRS
Yeah,
stand.
it is.
To fix the house?
Yeah.
Yep.
Two-thirds majority of the board.
Yeah.
Okay, so that takes a vote.
You have to vote on that.
We've done that before since I've been on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've done a lot of things that, you know, in terms of.
I think it's
There has
absolutely
been
wise
change.
to ask that question. Are we within the bounds? And if we are,
We
then
need to take a
this will
vote on
require a
this
motion.
particular one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think if we do this, probably time's gonna pass by and nothing's gonna get done.
I'm not
They're
disagreeing.
ignoring all the communications.
We're agreeing people,
Yeah.
just, if they vote on, anything to vote on, are we gonna go through and fix this and build them?
Right.
You know, it's a motion, it's a vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would take two-thirds to approve.
Right.
So if somebody
That's
wants
your
to make a
motion? Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Second, Ray?
Yeah.
Discussion?
Been there.
Call the question?
Do it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Good. Okay. Good thinking.
First motion.
There you go. It passed.
Well, keep your hand up so I can get through the rest.
Here's my vote to no.
All right, I'm 24 Alton Point.
Yep. That's another
Okay.
one of these.
If you look, and this one's, if you look at the front, the garage door is starting to deteriorate. That's rust on the door, and it's progressing rapidly. The house is in foreclosure. Recommendation, send something from our attorney's office to the bank of record, or whoever's the owner at the time. If it's in foreclosure, it's going to be the bank and the owner of the property, that they need to make that repair.
Yep.
Steve accepted.
Justin? Move on.
Okay, there's a couple that were follow-ups that are not in your packet. I was going back through some of the older items that action has been taken on by the board, but there's still not it has not been fixed. And I was just kind of going back over some older stuff to see what was still hanging out there, and I talked to
You actually followed up? Wow.
and despite what
Good.
popular demand may be, I am trying to follow up. We have this, and I'll just I didn't make copies because I validated everything last minute this morning, just before I came in to make sure that they were still accurate. That one has been cited for a vehicle without a tag. The majority of the board members here have seen it. I saw it as a board member. There is now another vehicle in similar situation on that property. Okay? It's my recommendation that we forward it to the next level with our attorney. The board did approve legal action and it was forwarded to legal counsel in November of last year. And when you guys see it, you'll recognize it, because
It's the red Sebring.
yeah, I'll be happy to share the initial, if you guys would like to see that. I don't, but there's my, a car that has no tags, sitting, not moving in the driveway. We've had a complaint from,
We rescinded
Joe.
we've rescinded what?
the unregistered vehicle. We did. We approved,
I thought you did too.
yeah, we did. We approved a modification to the guidelines, ARC guidelines, to make it no longer a violation to have unregistered vehicles. You remember the case about the Volkswagen van that the argument, it was clearly an eyesore and falling apart, and yet the contention was they're not in violation because they have a current registration. On the other hand, we had the red Sebring convertible that was a nice looking car, Marty and I agreed, and yet it did not have current registration, and they were in violation. And the contrast of those two was so dramatic, we had a special meeting, we met for a long period of time, months actually, culminating in a meeting over there at the community center, and this was Exhibit A and Exhibit B as to why we should do this. So this particular item, we did, with the encouragement and approval of the ARC committee, modified that provision to make it no longer a violation to have unregistered vehicles in the community. And I remember even one individual in the audience applauded that, and his name is Joe. But we've done that, so it's no longer a violation based on our own actions.
It's a police problem.
Everybody concur with that?
No, we said it's not now, it's not police
You
problem.
still have this, you know.
There's another car.
Now, if it's unsightly, that's a different
Well,
matter.
there's another car now on the property that's also without tags.
Okay, excuse
Well,
me. I'm
without
gonna
tags, it's no
I'm gonna
longer
suspend the rules just
Okay.
for a minute to give the gentleman to my right a chance to say something. This is obviously the topic what he came for. Let's.
No, he's there for parking.
Well, the situation is, first thing you know, you're gonna have a garage. Because if you know that you can park one car without tags, you'll have another person unload his car. There, it will have no tags. And then first thing you know, the whole driveway is full of cars without tags. Because people will do it. And you can't say anything to them because of this rule. Saying, you know, the boats, we understand. A 24-foot boat, 20 foot high is legal. But a person with a trailer that's 20 feet is illegal. Something's wrong somewhere. What is the eyesore? The trailer, the boat, or the cars?
Okay, what I'm
You
gonna.
have to identify it. You can't just let this be because
Thank you.
you're gonna
What I
have
wanna
a car
do-
lot.
What I want to do with this is I want to investigate the changing of the ruling that people appear to remember. Let's investigate that. Let's look and see what the wording is. The gentleman has a good point. Is there any discussion in that of how many cars are allowed? Let's take a look at what the rulings were and let's get the wording of what it said. Bob, let's go take a look at that, okay?
I think the gentleman is right in that it's a broader issue. And it wasn't
what kind of
addressed
issue?
by, it's a broader
Broader
issue.
issue.
And it's not addressed simply by, or it hasn't been addressed simply by changing that one particular rule. It takes care of maybe a nice looking Sebring. But on the other hand, I think we need to delve into whether or not, you know, cars are legitimate, you know, decoration ornaments for our house. I mean, a car without a license plate that's there for a period of years, however nice it looks, is more of an ornament than the intended use of the driveway and the garage. So, I mean, I'm not arguing the point one way or another.
Right.
I don't think we've resolved that.
Just in this particular case, when one car has a license, clearly,
One does.
and it says, I'm reading the bottom line here, it says, 2 unregistered inoperable junk cars, junk vehicle. Well, don't let it two.
With a tag doesn't mean it's current. It could be on.
That's true, too. But, hey, well.
They went out and verified that one before I brought it up to make sure that it was still accurate.
I mean, we can discuss this as a...
we're gonna work it out.
Just for clarification purposes, and I know we will go back, but we made clearly the distinction between the brand-new Mercedes in the driveway without a current registration and this Volkswagen bus that was just horrendous and claimed it was okay because they had a current registration. It was, the comparison start, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But we've been through this, I must tell you.
That's
Not
fine.
not to say we can't go through it again,
Okay.
but let's look at the legislative history.
Let's look at what we have.
I
and
just
revisit
want
it.
clarification,
Thank you.
because I want to tell Steve I have to proceed.
No, let me just state that, I think it's very important that we as a board provide the general managers with the rules that he's supposed to implement. And he's gonna implement them to the T, and that's where we are. And he should. I don't think there's any disagreement to that. So if there's one out there that's a little iffy of what we ought to do, we ought to delve into it and then make sure we're clear on what we want, or what makes sense. Okay, Bob.
Okay, this is a repeat, and again, the board did take action back on, Board of Directors approved legal action at the board meeting on 5/19/2010, but nothing has occurred. Another trailer violation, and I'll just pass that.
I'm gonna call a hold on that, we're gonna come back to that, we're almost at 10:30, we've gotta go over there and get set up.
I only have two more.
Well, it's
Okay.
10:28, let's move. Joe's
We
gotta
can
get
always,
set up.
we can always use this at the end of the meeting.
That's what I'm gonna do, we'll come back to it at the end of the meeting, just, we promised to be over there at 10:30, so I want
You all can see it. The board did take action. We'd just like to continue the next step of legal action on that. There's been steps, and Mr. Purcell has it in front of him looking at all the necessary steps have been taken, and the gentleman just has to move his trailer. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And there was, in there, you'll see in May, if I'm not mistaken, Pete's got his hand, the board took legal action, and we just need to take the next step because he hasn't complied yet. We need to comply it out. Okay.
By acclamation.
Well, let's make sure everybody
Let it
sees
get down the table.
Not so fast.
We saved the paper at the copy machine this morning. It's okay.
Since Bob comes in.
Hey, Bob, by the way, if you don't mind, I just slipping into it.
Yeah.
I don't have a copy of the presentation that was named, that's list, but this subject, so I just wanted to remind you.
Pete's presentation?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, which one?
Pete's presentation.
yeah, piece of presentation.
We'll just get a copy of it.
We got a copy, man.
We'll get it there.
Sure.
You'll get it in your mailbox. Okay.
Okay.
And if you go to the meeting, I'll forget it.
No, I got it. I'll make sure you get it.
Acclamation, we've agreed to this.
Okay, one more similar situation. Board approved legal action on 2/17/2010. We just want to take the next step. This one is, take a look at the picture because his trailer's still there and he has it blocked in with lattice. But it's still, it hasn't solved the problem. Yes, and it's only halfway up, so that one, again, it has not complied out yet. And the recommendation is to take the next step. The board did approve legal action back in February, but we'd like to take the next step with it.
What is the next step?
We tried to get a letter of consent through the judge that he will agree through the court now. We sent out yeah.
Bob?
Yes, sir.
What's the latest on the search for a lot, parking center?
Well, as you know, the roles have all changed in the last 30 days, so that kind of put off to the side. I have personally looked at some areas, but I'm not ready to make a recommendation. Okay. Now, just for the newer folks on the board, Rick in particular, the first step is we have, after we try to contact and try to make this happen, then we send it to our legal counsel who sends a letter saying, you're not in compliance, please comply. If that's not resolved, the next step, which on this one is what we're intending to exercise, legal counsel then takes it to preliminary court to get a consent order. And that's from a judge saying, will you comply to remove this, whatever the issue is, in this case, the trailer? Yes, sir.
I got a couple questions. There appears to be pictures of a trailer and pictures of a car here.
That, yes, that one, in addition to the trailer violation, there is now an unregistered car. I'm asking you about the trailer violation only.
Only the, thank you.
Yeah, it's all, I didn't want to separate my
Okay, that's
fine.
package. We went out and I sent folks out to verify it again this morning prior to giving it to you guys, because I don't want to ask you to approve something if it's been complied out.
Right.
They noted another violation on the property, but you guys have not, if you notice, the trailer's what we've been trying to take action on. And that's what I'm asking for, action on the trailer only at this point.
Tell them we can't remove his trailer.
What's the address? Let's notice that.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We previously had another one come up on a trailer, and we recommended that they go back to the, I think it was the Acme,
Yes.
asking for an exception
Yes.
to policy. Is it possible that they could go back and ask for an exception to policy and put that lattice around their trailer? And have they been given that option to do so? I don't know what the committee would say, but I mean, we authorized it in one individual's.
Well, if you recall, I believe that was Mr. Abent, and he had a different need for he was using his trailer for a simulator. So the board did allow him to go half step back to the ARC and ask for a variance, which they did not grant, and came back.
My only point is a trailer's a trailer. And if we allow one to go back and ask, you know, this guy at least took the effort to put lattice around it. No, I'm not saying it's the right answer, I'm not saying they should approve it. I'm just trying to figure out, is there a way to skin this cat as it constantly comes up, and you hear a lot of emotions on it,
Right.
you know? And I'm not saying I want a trailer next to my house, you know?
And I think that's perspective. I mean, that's what we had with the Reverend Abent case. To him, it was such as us, but to his neighbor, it was the same damn thing, no matter what was in it.
Yes.
Yeah, so the consistency of application is important. People can be very creative.
This is a follow-up on a previous board's motion, right? This is in process already.
Yes, the board approved legal action on 2/17/2010 to forward to legal counsel.
I'd say keep going.
Keep going.
Anybody object?
Keep going.
We have to go to a vote. Keep going.
John objects.
We need a vote.
No, you can,
You can object.
I object it.
Okay, that's fine. That's good.
You need a vote count on that.
Yes, we need a motion.
Yeah, now we need a motion.
All right, motion is to what? To refer this to
To
legal
accept
counsel?
as approved, or to accept
To
my
accept the general manager's
recommendation.
recommendation to take it to the next legal step?
Yes.
Also moved.
I need a second.
I'll second. Discussion. Call the question?
All the questions.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Two opposed.
Oh.
Okay. Now, Bob, to
Yes.
that point,
Yes.
I do think going forward, when we get into these kinds of situations, where there might be an opportunity for appeal, that we should make sure people are aware of that, okay? So that they can use all of those steps that they can, you know, the rules are the rules, and I'm enforcing them, and I think there's no disagreement at this table that the rules are the rules. If that process and those rules allows for an appeal, then we just want to make sure everybody understands what the steps are if we want to do it. This was already voted on, move on. I'm talking about going forward. Okay?
Yeah, if I may.
No, go ahead. All
I
right.
don't think quite that was the case. And I can't remember the exact circumstances with Mr. Egan's
Didn't he
case.
got his letter, Bob, he
Yeah.
was in Florida, when he got back, he had missed the ARC meeting, there was an appeal. The process had happened while he was away, and he didn't have time to get before them, so the board allowed him to have the opportunity to do that.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a special
Unique.
circumstance,
Okay.
it wasn't a normal
Right.
appeal, yeah. I
I'm
couldn't
not questioning the
remember
previous board. I'm
Precisely so. We didn't think maybe he had gotten all the fair hearing that he had,
Yeah,
was
well.
entitled to.
okay. All right. Yeah, we want to be fair, but enforce the rules. Absolutely. Okay. Bob, what else? Anything else on that?
They are the CPI violations.
Okay, now you've got a truck and a,
Yes.
Before we get on that, I did ask Bob a potential
I'm
question.
sorry, John.
Because
You're
I've seen
correct.
it come up, and I've been by the place.
This was, he had asked me about 268 Windjammer. but the property is in, there are problems with the property. Home inspection was done, and I'm going to read you what was found. Now, this is not your board packet, and this is not necessarily for action. This is for informational purposes.
Information only.
John had requested I share this. The property yard is uncapped branches, high grass, stored building materials, standing water, damage to the decorative masonry wall, cracked and leaning. Rear porch addition is not complete, missing siding, damaged screens, missing soffit. Front deck is in a state of disrepair. Windows and doors are now covered with plexiglass, and water is in the crawl space. Okay? This has gone to legal action last April. Okay? And the next step is for the judge to demand that the property be fixed, but this is already in the process. There's no action needed by the board, but this has come up a couple times recently. And I'd be happy to copy and give you guys the email on it if you'd like more detail. But it is something that is being addressed. Okay? Is that enough on that, John? Okay. Okay, the next on the agenda, I believe, are two purchases.
Yep.
Yes.
Leaf vacuum and then the truck.
All right, well, we'll go leaf vacuum first. Our leaf vac has seen better days.
Oh, yes, it has.
And those who haven't seen it, it's been pretty bad. This is is in the budget. It has been in the budget. The request is to replace the leaf blower and the box, which is page 3 of equipment. You know, it's what happens basically. They plug the leaf blower into this and they blow it into this container. They need the box because otherwise, in any truck, even when they try to cover it, when they travel to dump it somewhere, it's blowing the leaves back out. So they use this box as an accumulator, and they blow everything into it. It seals it. They dump it where appropriate. So the request is to say, you know, to allow us to go ahead and make this acquisition.
Budgetarily, this appears to be, what's the gray area, 20,000? What is
This was in the difference on the budget. I don't know that we have a set.
Looking at the paper.
Now, are you talking about budget variances, or are you talking about just the authority of the general
I'm
manager?
just reading difference from budget, 220,000.
How much?
220,000?
20,000.
20.
No, that's the other one.
13,000.
13 is the recommended.
So what's this 20?
That's the other company.
That's the other company.
We're only recommending, no. This bid, if accepted, would be a budget variance of that. This bid, if accepted, would be a budget variance of that. They're recommending this, which is a 13,000 variance from the budget.
Correct.
Okay. And the reason is, I think described in the footnote, you only got 2 bidders, and that's the best
Yeah,
you got.
and I asked them to broaden the look on this. It's a specialty
It's a
item.
specialty item.
Leaf vac is a somewhat specialty item.
Well, to support this one a little bit, I actually went on the internet and looked up buying one of these. And there was a community called City of Bay Village out in Ohio that has a discount buying from the state, and they were within very close to the same price that's being quoted here. So I don't have a problem.
So we kind of missed the budget in a lot of parts.
Well, let's get my ditch cleaned out on time.
We are working on a program to help improve that this year, so I can't answer that question.
Yeah, well,
Okay, so we're okay with that?
Well, wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We had a vote on these one at a time.
You want to take this separately?
Yes.
Okay. I move to approve the recommended purchase.
On the leaf vac.
On the
On the leaf vac. I'm doing one at a time.
I'll second.
Discussion? Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. On to the next one.
Okay, next one is a somewhat larger item. There is a clarification I want to make sure before I make this request. There is a difference in the budget item for the first one, which was unselected. Okay, the one recommended by the staff. Instead of a minus $198.74. It's actually should be plus $376. I know it's not significant, but it's a fact. I don't want to mislead anybody. And that was based on, and I don't know, I think the note was in your package, but if it wasn't, I have it. There was an increase after 7/15/2010 of $575 by the manufacturer for the truck itself. Okay, so everybody's got that
If we
difference.
bought it before that time, it could have been for less.
$575 less.
This is a budgeted item.
Yes, it's been budgeted for a couple of years
Yeah,
now.
I know.
Okay, you know, all right, so, and what's
Why would we put
happened
it off
is,
another couple of years?
well, it's been put off, and what happened,
We need to
quite
get
frankly,
So
this.
cheap expensive.
Well, it's a dump truck.
Yeah.
Okay, and what happened, quite frankly, the other one that we had blew out an axle this winter with all the work and carrying, and the amount of money to repair that was astronomical, just for the size of the vehicle. So now repairs are starting to become cumbersome and hard to
Yeah, this is a
repair.
big
So we should do
This
it
is
one
big.
now.
Yes, we should move
Big
on.
unit for a big town.
How much?
Was it removed, was it Bob, the snow removal, Bob? It
Was above,
Yeah.
so that's where they.
A lot of
brought the
stress
axle.
from the snow removal effort probably, right?
Yes, this is a $100,000 item plus.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Yes, sir.
How many vehicles? No over $100,000.
I'm sorry.
All three vehicles were over $100,000.
The bids, yes. And what happened, because I asked Kerry to spread, when I got this, I asked him to go a little wider on his search. Apparently at this level of vehicle, some of the companies, like the Fords and the GMs, stopped making this size vehicle, I guess economics or whatever their conditioning was. So they, it's not something you can necessarily go order from Ford or GM or Chevy. This is, the Freightliner, the Bar International sells, and they basically have regional pricing. I don't know who's dropping money down there, but there's money on the
Oh, it's mine.
Gotta be right. Everybody's claiming the money that's in it. Just a clarification.
Yes.
One of the addresses on here, Beltway International, has an Ocean Pines address.
Where's Cannon
Where's Cannon?
Oh, the rep, we're not,
Oh, yeah,
they didn't
rep,
recommend
yeah.
it. The rep is here.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the rep.
The representative, but you notice that's not the one they recommended.
Because I don't remember seeing a big truck.
Yeah.
A truck dealership, but
Those are rep, yeah, they-
I've been on most of the roads,
It's lattice work around here.
Yes, yeah.
Beautiful. All right, call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, Rick. Rick's opposed, okay. You got your first no vote. You got your first no vote.
All right, but you have the agenda, so the next.
Yes, I do. The next thing is the appointments to committees. In fact, that's the drum roll, last thing we have. Yeah.
And I called and I left word and you didn't, so I don't feel
Then we can't act on it because we'll have the application.
Stand.
Okay.
I make a motion that all these volunteer positions be filled and we agree on them because they're nice people.
Is that the criteria?
Rather than go over in one, yeah, well, and Marty got new batteries for his calculator, he wants to be in the budget.
We don't know, we discussed the personnel issue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we ought to take them all as approved.
Well, I have, I think we sort of started a process last year, which I would hate to discontinue, that we got the committee chairs to write endorsements
Yes.
for each one.
And I have, just to respond, I have talked to the committee chairs of all of these committees, and every one of these committee chairs has approved what's in front of them,
Yes, except for that one.
except for the one that didn't fill out a form.
Yes.
So Dave, we did follow that process. Didn't get it in writing, but I talked to each one of them on the phone personally.
We've done that in the past.
Is that, I want to make sure
Can I ask you a question?
we're going to answer your question. Okay.
I'll repeat my motion then. Motion that we approve all those that are in front of us.
Do I have a second?
Who are you nominating?
Bill Lewis for the environmental and natural assets. It's hard to read. Randy Romley, aquatics. Kelly Middleton, aquatics. Susan Alwarter, Auwarter, aquatics. Victoria Ray, aquatics. And Marty Clark, budget and finance.
Did you have one for the bank committee?
I didn't fill out a form.
Oh, did you fill out one?
No, we reached out, tried to get him to get it done. We had it, we tried for the last couple of days to get it done. It came in, Joe, we tried to find, get to him. I did, so it fills.
What's your motion again, Rick?
To accept the committee applicants that are in front of us.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
we're not gonna discuss individual, just as a group, right?
This is a group. That's the
There's-
motion
Yeah,
that's on the
there's
floor.
one that I would have preferred the opportunity to comment upon and discuss, but I'll forego that opportunity if the rest of the members are comfortable with it, but I don't think in open session here I'd like to get into personnel type discussions about people's capabilities and what I think, so I'm gonna vote no against the whole group.
Well, the issue we have, in my opinion, I mean, this is gonna happen all the time, we're gonna see individuals that, but, you know, I have this sort of general personal David Stevens thing, is if an individual wants to serve on a committee, and if the committee chair has no objections or feeling that will not disrupt the harmony of the committee or for whatever reasons, then I don't have any choice but to go along with the recommendation.
Well, I think you do have a choice,
Well, I have,
as a board member,
well, yes, yes, you
Okay.
can, but.
as I think I do.
But I don't, let's put it this way, I won't give myself that choice.
Okay.
I mean, because, again, I believe there's all kinds of people in Ocean Pines, and they all want to, if they want to contribute, we love them, I love them.
Thank you,
Any other comments? I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstained? Passed. We, and I said I would open it up to public comment. And I will.
Yes, you did.
There are any questions?
I just nobody here. Oh,
Yeah, they all went to lunch.
Do it, Rick, do it, Rick. Here they come.
I have a question. Sure. Who seconded John McLaughlin's motion on the outsourcing? Rick?
Rick.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You can call the.
hey.
Hey, wait a minute, you don't get to do that. I just heard that earlier. You're new like me. We don't get to say we get to leave. Can one of you guys say?
No, wait a minute, hold, do we have any other public?
You have one and you may have another.
Other question? Go ahead.
So is there going to be a special meeting to discuss outsourcing again?
There will have to be by this board before we can do anything, yes.
So there is going to be a meeting?
Well, there has to be, yeah. Otherwise it dies, and I'm committed here, but I wouldn't let that discussion end right here.
And I think he said soon.
Yeah. So we're gonna continue on to do that assessment and taking the input and the questions we got today, and then move forward.
I'll send you some time before the establishment.
You're going to vote in private? Did I hear that?
No,
No, special meeting, that's
special, but not.
not closed.
I would assume it'd be open, Joe.
It'll be open as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, from
Just
now
like we had it
on.
open here.
We have no competition anymore, it can all be open.
No reason to.
Other than the independents, because they didn't publish the
They're doing this right.
notification.
They're
We're gonna take care of it.
Oh, great.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Can you set a date today for your meeting? Why not? You're all here.
My head's swimming right now, no. We'll get it out in the e-blast, we'll make sure people know. I don't have my calendar with me, Joe, I left my cell phone at home. And I don't want to establish a date that I can't.
I'll pass it out when they decide.
Yeah, you don't have yours with you either. We'll make sure people know, we'll get the word out. Any,
I have a motion by Rick, I need a second to adjourn.
Second.
I'll raise,
He's a third.
all in favor? All in favor? Aye.